All right, what's up, everybody? We're gonna go over some 3D printing design stuff today. We're gonna go over string art, or what I call suspended art. If you got a Tinkercad, not Tinkercad, if you got a Thingiverse, if you got a Printables, if you got a MakerWorld, Cults 3D, and type in string art or suspended art, you'll see a ton of examples of what we're talking about. Have a couple people ask me, like, how do you do these things? And so figured I'd do a tutorial on that. Now, I really learned from 3D Print Bunny. She's awesome and much more knowledgeable and incredible designer than me. And she did just a couple short videos that gave me enough insight. Now, I had to do a lot of trial and error to actually figure it out in Fusion 360 because she was doing her stuff in Tinkercad simply for the basics, which is great. But I need more than that. Anyways, so first thing we're going to do is go ahead and create sketch. I always like to use the top. We're going to get hit here. And now this is for me. I just do this because I want to do center rectangle. I'm going to do 240 by 240. And this is just so I know the size of my bed. I've got a Bamboo P1S. I know I have 250 or 260, whatever it is, but this just gives me some wiggle room because I know I can go a little bigger than this, but not very much. Okay. Now we're going to go create sketch again. And now we're going to go ahead and hit center diameter circle. And we're going to go, about let's go just 200 is good. Boom. And go ahead and we'll finish sketch. Now we don't need sketch one. And then I'm going to click that and I'm going to click O for offset. And we're going to go, we'll just go 4. Actually, I'm going to go 6 because that's just going to give us some more wiggle room. All right. And so now this gives us the ability to make the border for our design. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish sketch. And I'm going to click outside here. I'm going to hit E, and profile plane is fine. And then for this one, let's go 12. Simply because this is a circle and it would either be in a stand or it's going to be hanging on a wall. So it doesn't need to be super thick. If I'm doing something that's going to be on a stand or it is going to be standing, so like it's a square object, like I did a Deadpool one, I'm going to bring that out about 30 millimeters at minimum, maybe even 40 millimeters so that it has that depth to be able to stand. If I'm doing something on a wall though, and so the base doesn't need to be super thick and the design in the middle is more the focus, I'm going to make it 12, 15. Normally that's my max there. So we're going to go ahead and hit okay. So that creates a new body. I like to go up here and name it. And for this one, it's just border. Now, one thing I like to do here is create groups. And so I'm going to go ahead and create this. It says layer 1 because we're going to have one layer of strings. And then for this tutorial, I'm just going to go ahead and show how we can do 2 layers. So I'll do 2 layers. And then, we'll do this. This is the inner objects. I like to group everything because otherwise it can really become chaos over here, specifically with your strings. If you start cutting things and it'll make, where the strings disconnect, it turns to different objects and it can become chaos over here. So I highly recommend using folders, labeling everything as you go, just because otherwise it gets messy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new sketch. And I'm going to show you the way not to do it first. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit here. I'm going to go rectangle again, center point rectangle. Now, for this, we should be able to go 206. Yep. And then I'm going to do 0.21. So this is the actual diameter. Not, I guess it's a square. Is that a diameter? I don't know. So this is the actual size of the string that we will print. But if we just were to do this, it won't work, right? And so let me show you why. Okay. So we have the strings there. I'm going to go ahead and hide the border and I'm going to select our strings. We're going to go E. And now this is where we'd want to go offset, and we're going to go up 4 because we did a 12 thing. So we'll go 4 and 8 right in the middle. And then we're going to do 0.2. Now, again, this is exactly what I would do. And this is where I would go, and I would go string, right? So now if we look at our string and our border, it looks perfect, right? However, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and save this as mesh and put that there, and we'll do string test. And I'm gonna go ahead and just drop that on the desktop and hit save. And we'll go over to Bamboo. And I've already got one here. This is exactly what, what we just did. So let's show you how this fails. So if we go here, what we're seeing is if we go up this layer where the string would print, it might print, but here's the problem. Like, look at that connection point. Chances are that's going to fall, specifically if we're doing like 60 or 80 of these. It's not going to connect. It doesn't, I mean, it's starting right there on the edge and it's going to try to print, but it has a huge fail rate. The first one I designed, I didn't do it the right way. I did it this method, and I had like 20 strings just at the bottom here that were connected to nothing because they just fell, and some of them worked, and it's just It's not good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna delete this string, and I'm gonna go ahead and hide the border again. And we're gonna go new sketch again, and we're gonna make sure we're at the top, right? Like to turn on. Okay, we're good. And then we're gonna go back here, create, and we're gonna go center rectangle. Now this time we're gonna go 0.42, and then we are gonna go back to 206, right? And then what we did, so we do this 0.42 and 206. Okay, that's the other way. Okay, yeah. Let's just stay consistent. 0.42. Oh my, 206. 42. There we go. Cross the middle. Okay. Um, and so now we can go holes. And I am going to finish the sketch. And then I'm actually going to delete this because I'm going to show you guys the way that I actually do this. It's pretty simple. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and hit edit sketch here. And we're going to select that whole thing. And we can hide our border. We're going to go ahead and create. We're going to go circular pattern, right? And we got to make sure all of everything is selected. But just as one object, that means you've only got like the top face of your string, and that's not going to work. And then we want to select the center point, which this is why I do everything off of the center, because when I do this, it allows it to work. Okay. Um, and of course, it is immediately failing. What did I do wrong? Create circular pattern. Okay, now we have 12. I didn't have everything selected. Okay, see, that's what I was talking about. I only had some of the faces selected. I had 6 as opposed to 12, so I only had half, so I wasn't seeing everything. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll just go 30. To be honest, this wouldn't be enough from a visual perspective, in my opinion. I've done a couple of these. If I'm doing 30, I'm doing clear filament, and I want the strings to not be a visible part of the design, if that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and hit 30. So those are our holes. And now, if I want to create my strings, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to hit finish sketch. I'm going to create a new sketch, right? I'm going to go ahead and hide my holes. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go ahead and hit paste. Okay, and I'm going to hit OK, because I want these to be in the exact spot that my holes are, right? And that is extremely important. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, remember, we can't have these at 0.42. So you could go in and you could draw that at 0.21, which is what we need this to be. Or you can go in and do it this way. I like doing it this way because when you're dealing with everything, this is the better way. So we're gonna go back into here and we see right here. So watch, all I have to do is change this to 0.21. And now all of our strings that we just copied over right here are 0.21. So they're the correct size. Why, if we go back to our holes, these are still 0.42. So I've really started to use parameters more. They're your friend. You can set dimensions, you can change dimension, everything. And that's why you label everything. So you can go into those parameters and you can edit those. They are your friend. You use them. It will help you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and select. Well, first we gotta hit finish sketch. That allows our strings. We're gonna hide our strings. And now we're gonna extrude our holes. Okay. Nope. No, we're not gonna do that yet. I forgot almost. Okay, we're gonna go new sketch. And now we are going to insert SVG. And this is where, okay, so I go out to the internet and I found this, and this is what I want to use. Throw in the middle of the circle, little lightning cloud. I save this image, and then I actually go over to, I've started using Rhino. And there are a lot of like, hey, take a PNG and turn it to an SVG sites out there on the web internet that are great. And they're free and they're awesome. But I like to take some more advanced designs that aren't going to necessarily turn into an SVG file great from those automated sites. And this allows you to have some settings here. So if you never use Rhino, I highly recommend it. You go up here, you do trace bitmap, and then it lets you do your settings. You click it here, you get a preview, hit update preview. After you change the settings, you hit apply, and then you export it to SVG, and it's great. So I've already done all that. And so I can take my Cloud Lightning piece here, and I can open it. And now again, we're just trying to put this like somewhat in the center as much as you can. And boom. Now we have what I'm going to call Cloud and Bolt. All right. Now, because this is super easy. That's all I'm looking for here. I'm gonna go ahead and just, I like that extra point. That's why I did that, because I want it to be a little bit more pointy. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit extrude here. And for this, we did our other one at 12. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 25. So this is gonna stick out almost twice as much. So it's gonna give it some nice little depth there. And it should look pretty cool, right? Okay, so now I'm gonna go over ahead in here and I'm gonna rename these. And you guessed it, I'm gonna go ahead and drop those there. So we have cloud and lightning. And now we're going to go back to our holes. And this is where I like turn off my bodies for a second, do that. Now I'm going to turn back on my bodies. I'm going to hit E. Now for this one, we're going to go offset because we want, this is the height that our strings are going to start. So we're going to offset at 4 millimeters since we're doing 12. We'll do our strings at 4 and we'll do our strings at 8. And that's just like right in the middle there. So it should be enough to suspend this cloud and this lightning. And then we're going to do 0.2 as our distance. And we wanted to say cut. Okay. And we do this. And it's going to cut this perfectly. So now we see we have cut lines all throughout, right? And so what I do next is I turn our bodies back off. We go back over here. And then you could right click and repeat extrude, or you can hit E, doesn't matter. But again, we're doing offset. This time we're going 8 because we're going up 4. Now, you could rotate these by using the move copy command and just moving them. Whatever amount of degrees it would take to get them in between to offset them. That does look cool. It can be busy. It just depends. For the basic tutorial, I'm just going to leave it like this. So we'll do 0.2. And again, we got to turn our bodies back on because again, we want to cut. And if we just look at this, we can see, well, like right there. So we see that's where our lines are going to be, which are above our actual holes where they were before. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And as soon as we hit OK, we can turn our holes off and we can see, okay, it's in the middle over here and 2 here. Now, to be honest, this is, I would add more strings to this if this is a wall art piece, especially with how thick I made this lightning and the cloud, because this would break and fall off of these strings really easily. But again, I'm just doing this for tutorial sake to show you guys the basics of how to do this. Okay, so now that we have that done, we can go back to our strings and we can turn all this off because we are just going to extrude these and we're going to go E. And again, we want to go offset and we're going to go 4 millimeters and 0.2. And it's giving us a warning, but we want to make sure this says new body. And now we're going to hit OK, right? And so now all of our strings are 1. Now, again, with this design, it's not that big a deal to label these. But let's say like I wanted to make this cloud hollow, and so I extruded and I cut, and it cut some of these strings, and now this is a string and this is a string because they're connected. Now you've got copies, and so now you'll have just 20 or 30 depending on the number of strings. I've had designs where I've had 500, 600 copies of all my different strings, right? And so the labeling really becomes, because once you do that, if you don't have them labeled, then you just have body 1, body 2, body, and etc. So you want to label them and drop them into folders so that if you do that, like, oh, here's all my layer 1 strings that got cut in half. Here's the other half of them. I can drop them back into layer 1. And that way I can just hide that really easily. And so we'll go back to our strings. We're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and hit E. We're going to go offset. We're going to go 8 millimeters. Again, we're going to go 0.2. And again, we want it to say new body, not cut. So make sure it says new body. And now we hit OK. Now, I should have done this after layer 1, but I didn't. But we'll go ahead and we'll look here at layer 2. And if we zoom in, we should see that we are right in the middle. And if we see that right there, we are right in the middle of that hole. Okay. So now here's the cool thing we can do with our slicer, right? So again, that's borders. This is layer 2. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that in here. Okay. So now I'm gonna turn off layer 2. I'm gonna turn off my border. Okay, so now I'm just gonna do save as mesh, and we'll go cloud. I don't know why it does that every time. Save as mesh, lightning. Again, I'm doing this like how I want to do it. I like to separate everything as much as possible because it allows it simple to color if need be. This is border. And I would normally preface this with like, thunder and lightning string art. Okay, so this is layer 1 strings and save as mesh, layer 2 strings. Just so you guys know, so you got to make it visible and then you right click up here, save as mesh, just because I did that super fast. All right, so that should be everything. That's how that would look if we were to print that. You can see we have 2 layers of strings. Again, I would do more if I was doing something this big and hanging it on the wall because that would not And if I was gonna hang it on the wall, I wouldn't put a cutout here. I would add like another circle to the top for a screw hole space. Because again, you don't want any weight really on these things because even if you add more strings, like these are super thin, they're gonna break. Like I had a piece that I took off my bed and I dropped it, and the middle part just exploded out of it because the way it hit. And I was super frustrated. All right, so now we'll go back over to our slicer. We're gonna go back here. We're gonna go new project, and now we're gonna go and go to desktop, and we can take our everything that we just did, um, and we can import it. And so now you can see that everything is like it is. And I'm gonna go ahead and just let's see what would be that's a cool color for cloud, black for our border. Um, yeah, and I don't know what I would do here. I would actually like I'd probably do my border blue or black. I don't know. Probably black is a cheap filament. And then I do my cloud blue and my lightning yellow, and then I might do my strings like just I don't know, different colors, like or maybe white. Um, I don't know. It's up to you. Like this is where you really get to be creative and how you do your strings. And it really depends. Do you want your strings to be um the center of the design or do you want them to be a part of it? Right. And so now this is where we can hit slice. Um, and we can go and we can look at the difference between the first time we slice this. Um, sorry, that's just bugging me. Now I have to reslice, I know. Okay, so now we'll go down and we should be at layer, what, 5? Yeah, okay, so when we go here, and now if we look on the side, when we do our strings, now look at where they're starting. They're starting in, so they have a spot to start and then they have a spot to land. Now, could you take and you could offset this cloud, in Fusion 360, you could offset this cloud by 2 millimeters to make an internal one, and then you could extrude so those lines don't go all the way through and save yourself some filament. 100%, you can do that. It just depends on the complexity of the design. For this one, I probably would do that because it'd be pretty simple to do and it would save it a lot of print time. Again, for tutorial purposes, I just, was trying to get the gist of how to do this. Some of my designs, it ends up being that the lines don't go that far into it by the time I'm finished with everything. And so like there's no need to spend all the time doing that. But for this one, if I were to actually print this, um, you know, I would 100% make sure that I extruded and cut that cloud and the lightning so that the lines don't go all the way through to use all that filament and take all that extra time. Um, this is showing 9 hours and 36 minutes of print time, and that's just simply because of the color. Um, if I was printing this, what I would do is I would color by layer, and I would have everything be black up until like this point, and then I would do black and yellow. But that's just me because black is cheaper than colored filament. Anyways, that is how you do string art.